Our next inductee is Loy Clingman, ladies and gentlemen. Born in Williams, Arizona, Clingman's family moved to Texas and New Mexico before returning to the Grand Canyon State for grade school in Ashfork. In high school, he was in Wickenburg and went to college in Tucson. He began teaching and started to develop his writing, focusing on the Western lifestyle that he knew so well. Soon, Lee Hazelwood signed him to Viv Records, and later, he became the owner. Clingman recorded Rockin' Down Mexico Way at his tiny garage studio in 1960 after the Indian School studio closed, and he assumed the meager assets of Viv Records. He would continue to write and produce there for the next 15 years, well into the early 70s. And around this time, Clingman and his wife, Hassie, opened a coffee house in Scottsdale on weekends to give local performers exposure.
Please welcome Tempe's very own John Dixon and Charlie Clingman to accept the award on Loy's behalf.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. How are you, Charlie? Come on out here. My name's John Dixon, and I'm very happy to be here on behalf of, go ahead. At my age, thank you. Thank you very much, but I'm very happy to be able to come up and recognize some of the older folks now. It's wonderful to see all these bands still playing, but back in the good old days when Phoenix was just starting, there were some very influential people who some have been inducted already into the Hall of Fame that we recognize, and a few have been lingering, and tonight we're going to definitely take care of two of the very important ones, Loy Clingman and Jack Curtis, who were very, very much a part of making things happen here. And you know, in the good old days, people now think it's so easy, and with streaming and everything, it was a mystery in the early days how to make a record in the 50s and 60s. There was audio recorders, there was Canyon Records that did a lot of Native American stuff, and then there was Loy Clingman. And audio recorders was fairly expensive, but if you wanted to get a record done, rather inexpensively, shall I say, you went to Loy Clingman. And the wonderful thing about Loy is that he would do the whole thing for you. He'd record you, he'd press up records for you, and then he would try and promote those records with national artists and, national recording companies and producers. And occasionally he had some luck in that, but for the most part, the bands got to keep their records, and they stayed in garages until their parents threw them out when they left for the service. And they came back, and a lot of them are very, very collectible. But Loy, I had the pleasure of knowing him and the wonderful Hassie Pearl for quite a few years when they were living up in Mayer, and then later when they moved to Utah. But Loy was just a very influential part of the scene here, and a lot of you people, including Michael Bruce, who mentioned him in the video, will remember him for his kindness and for his hamburgers, because one of his studios, his first studio after he ended up buying in 1960 Viv Records, which was Lee Hazelwood's original label, and Lee had a hit with The Fool and had moved on to LA and sold off Viv Records to Loy. Loy had a little studio in his garage in his house on 50th Place in Phoenix, and so Hassie Pearl on the weekends, because he was a full-time school teacher. Here's a guy who's teaching full-time, and he's writing songs, and he's making records for people, and so he did a wonderful job of it. So I want to give a shout-out before we do the plaque presentation. There are two that I know of. There are two Viv artists in the house tonight. I want to give a shout-out to Henry Thome, who's in the house. Henry? It's dark, but you can wave in the dark maybe. And then Jimmy Spellman. Is Jimmy Spellman here? Jimmy, are you? Stand up, Jimmy. Oh, it's great, man. Wonderful. Thank you for honoring these wonderful folks who were Viv recording artists. And we're also very honored. Mr. Mike Bruce was a Viv recording artist. Mike?
Yes, I cut my first 4 records there behind this insurance company. He was a great guy. I met him when we recorded with Floyd and Jerry Westfall, the Doorknobs.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, you played on their session. Yeah, that's wonderful.
He's a great guy, and I miss him a lot.
Yeah, wonderful. And we're very honored to have some of Loy's blood relatives here tonight. Charlie Clingman and Shelley. And Shelley Aiono? Yeah, Shelley and Charlie. And what is your relationship to Loy?
Loy is my uncle. Yeah, I didn't visit him that often, but when I did, I remember he was super sweet man. I didn't realize he was such a big deal. And then...
Well, that's why we're here, just for you. Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, pleasure. Do you have any memories of Loy?
Oh, heck yeah. He's my grandpa.
Oh, well, there
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I just want to say, you know, we're honoring him for his music, and we can get an idea of how passionate he was about music and sharing his love of creating and entertaining with anyone who wanted a crack at it. And I just love that about him. But what you don't know, because you haven't had a chance to just sit down and have an early morning talk with Loy Clingman, but he was an amazing man, a kind man, and would do anything for anyone. And I am so honored, you guys, to be here for him, because he's just left quite a legacy for our family. Thank you.
And we also have to mention Hassie Pearl. Hassie and Loy were just the most amazing couple, and we appreciate you coming out and honoring them. So, well, I better stop rambling on and present this in recognition of outstanding achievement and major contribution to the entertainment culture in the state of Arizona. Loy Clingman is inducted in the Arizona Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame, July 16th, 2023. I think we're going to get a few pictures down there. Indeed. Thank you very much, everybody. And as a vinyl junkie, Loy's records, as I mentioned, over the years, especially the Wildflowers is one. Some of them now go for hundreds of dollars because there were so few pressed, and some of them are so good. So thank you for honoring Loy Clingman.